Check 1 2. Testing audio. Check 1 2.
And good morning, everyone. Welcome to our council meeting today on Wednesday, February the 4th. The mayor, who would normally be chairing the meeting, is on his way, so we're going to get started so our agenda is not delayed too much. And I believe Deputy Mayor is joining us online. As we begin today's meeting, we would like to acknowledge that we are gathering here today on the traditional territories of the Mississaugas of the Credit, Haudenosaunee, and Wendat First Nations, who have called this land home since time immemorial. We recognize the Mississaugas of the Credit as the original rights holders and the signatories of Treaty 19, the Adjutant's Purchase of 1818, and that the agreements made therein are foundational to our nation-to-nation relationship. As a city, we are committed to our ongoing role in reconciliation through meaningful action rooted in truth, justice, and respect. We are grateful to the original caretakers of this land who've ensured we are able to work, play, and live in Brampton now and in the future. Please all rise for the singing of our national anthem, to be followed by a moment of personal reflection.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true North, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for
Thank you so much. So again, welcome everyone. We have a full house this morning in the chamber. It's lovely to see all the young faces in the chamber and folks who are joining us today. Welcome to our regional council, or our regular council meeting, February 4th, 2026. All members are present today in this meeting, in person or remotely, except for Madam Clerk.
Through you, Chair, everybody is here today, and Mayor Brown is on his way.
He is on his way. Our next item of the agenda is approval of the agenda. Madam Clerk, if you could please summarize anything that has been revised on the agenda.
Through you, Chair, the following items were added to the revised agenda. 7.1, a delegation from Sylvia Roberts. The delegation was added. 8.1, Government Relations Matters. The presentation was published. 10.2.2, Staff Report, Municipal Election, question on the ballot was revised. Minutes of the Planning and Development Committee, February 2nd, were published. 14.2, correspondence items 1 through 20 were added. Bylaws from the February 2nd Planning and Development Committee meeting. Bylaw 21, 2026, 22, 23, 24, and 25, 2026 were added.
Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. Are there any other items that members would like to add or change on the agenda today? Seeing none, we have a motion. Oh, Madam Clerk. Is anyone adding information to the agenda today? Or a proclamation? No? Going once? Twice? Oh, Councillor Brar.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. I believe Deputy Mayor was going to add the proclamation for Osaka Nokadar Day. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be added today. Just want to make sure.
Okay, we will add it. I have the proclamation actually here, so let's add that from Councillor Brar, another proclamation for this morning. Are there any other items members would like to add? Motion moved by Councillor Brar and seconded by Councillor Power to approve the agenda as amended. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item is declarations of interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. Do any members have a declaration of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act for any matter to be considered on today's agenda? Seeing none, the clerk will so note. Next item is adoption of the minutes. We have the following City Council minutes before us today. 4.1 minutes, City Council, January 21st. Do members have questions or comments? Seeing none, motion moved by Councillor Fortini, seconded by Councillor Paleshi to approve the minutes as published and circulated. Anyone opposed? That carries. Consent motion. As part of our consent motion process, I'll read each agenda item that is subject to the consent motion, and any member may verbally identify the item to be held for debate during the meeting. Any item that is not held for debate will be considered as part of the consent motion and voted on for approval. I'll start reading the various items to be considered under consent now. 8.1, Government Relations Matters. 10.2.1, Staff Report, Administrative Authority Bylaw, held by Councillor Paleshi. 10.2.2 is being held for direction. 10.2.3, Staff Report, Red Light Camera Enforcement Request for Regulatory Amendment. That is in consent. 10.3.1, Staff Report, 2026 Temporary Boring Bylaw. Consent. 10.4.1, Staff Report is being held by Councillor Paleshi. 12.1 minutes, Planning Development Committee, January 19th. Consent, 12.2 minutes, Committee to Council, January 28th. Consent, 12.3 minutes, Planning and Development Committee, February 2nd. Consent, 14.1, correspondence from Evan Schwartzberg, Evmar Properties Limited, Queen Street Corridor Study and Adoption of New Comprehensive Zoning Bylaw. In consent, 14.2, items 1 to 20, correspondence regarding the adoption of new comprehensive zoning bylaw. In consent, 16.1, referred matters list. In consent, 19.1, closed session minutes, City Council, January 21st. We're holding all closed session items for Councillor Paleshi. The clerk will now summarize those items to be included on the consent motion for approval.
Through you, Chair, the following items are included on the consent motion. 8.1, Government Relations Matters. 10.2.3, Staff Report, Red Light Camera Enforcement. 10.3.1, Staff Report, 2026 Temporary Borrowing Bylaw. 12.1, Minutes of the Planning and Development Committee, January 19th. 12.2, Minutes of Committee of Council, January 28th. 12.3, Minutes of the Planning and Development Committee, February 2nd, 2026. 14.1, correspondence from Evan Schwartzberg regarding the adoption of the new comprehensive zoning bylaw. 14.2, items 1 through 20 inclusive, correspondence regarding adoption of the new comprehensive zoning bylaw. 16.1, referred matters list.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I have a motion moved by Councillor Keenan and seconded by Councillor Singh to approve the consent motion. Anyone opposed? That carries. Now we're off to announcements and proclamations. The first proclamation today is Preventative Health Awareness Month. I will ask Councillor Paleshi to please read the proclamation.
Thank you, Madam Acting Chair. Preventative Health Awareness Month is a Health Canada recognized grassroots national movement, now entering its 4th year, dedicated to shifting health care culture from the reactive care to preventative, proactive, and citizen-empowered health. The purpose of PHAM is to educate, empower, and equip Canadians with evidence-informed practical tools so they can take an active role in their health, improve their health esteem, and confidently become the CEO of their health. PHAM brings together healthcare professionals, community leaders, businesses, and everyday Canadians to promote integrative health across the physical, mental, emotional, social, and lifestyle pillars of well-being. as chronic disease rates continue to rise and healthcare systems face increasing strain. PHAM exists to help close the prevention gap of supporting individuals and communities with accessible education, practical strategies, and supportive resources that foster the resilience, self-leadership, and long-term well-being. We are proud to now have over 85 healthcare professionals from both allopathic and complementary medicine, as well as organizations aligned with our mission, contributing their expertise and time of the movement. Throughout February, PHAM delivers accessible education and community engagement initiatives, including themed weeks based on the pillars of health, focused education days, community-based events, and the PHAM blog and podcast. This proclamation raises awareness, empowers residents with practical tools, provides education, improves health esteem, encourages early action and prevention, strengthens community connection and civic pride, and celebrates the city's commitment to community well-being. On behalf of Mayor Patrick Brown, the City Council do hereby proclaim February 2026 as Preventative Health Awareness Month in the City of Brampton.
Thank you so much, Councillor Paleshi. And is there anyone here to accept the proclamation for Preventative Health Awareness Month? Not at this time, okay. And just so folks know a couple of things before I read the next proclamation. There are a lot of folks in the chamber right now. If you could please ensure that your phones are silenced in order to not interrupt the meeting or distract folks from speaking during the meeting itself. So just double check, make sure your phones are on silent, please. The next proclamation is National Girls and Women in Sports Day. I'm going to read this one because it is personal to me, especially with so many nieces in sports, and a good follow-up to Preventative Health Awareness Month. So the proclamation is National Girls and Women in Sports Day, whereas National Girls and Women in Sports Day, recognized on February 4th, celebrates achievements of girls and women in sport, acknowledges the positive impact of sport participation, and recognizes the ongoing pursuit of equity, inclusion, and access for women and girls at all levels of sport. I see many women athletes here today. The City of Brampton and its Recreation Division are committed to fostering welcoming, inclusive, and supportive environments that encourage girls and women's participation in sport and recreation through accessible programs and services that contribute to a healthy, active, and safe community. Residents are invited to visit their local recreation centers on February 4th through February 9th to participate in a pledge initiative that demonstrates support for girls and women in sport and celebrates their involvement and achievements. Participation in sports helps build confidence, leadership, teamwork, and lifelong skills, strengthening social connections, breaking down barriers, and empowering girls and women to make meaningful contributions to their families, workplaces, and to the broader community. Therefore, I, on behalf of Mayor Patrick Brown, on behalf of the Brampton City Council, do hereby proclaim February 4th, 2026 as National Girls and Women in Sports Day in the City of Brampton. Is there anyone from to receive the proclamation today? Sure. Do you want to come down and share a few words? We'll take a picture after all the proclamations are read. Come on down, Ken.
Good morning, everyone. Through you, Madam Chair, I would first of all like to extend a heartfelt thank you from Recreation for your support and recognition of National Girls and Women in Sport Day. This is a fantastic event, and as mentioned, we've got a number of our youth-affiliated sport groups in the chambers today. We've got groups from Ontario Cricket Academy, Peel Sports and Cultural Club, Brams United, Brampton Warriors Field Hockey, and Brampton Minor Baseball. So I hope I got everybody who's with us today. On your desks this morning, you'll see a pledge. If we could have everybody fill out those pledges, we're going to be displaying them at Cassie Campbell Community Center for the remainder of the week. So if when we do take the picture, you could fill those out and bring those up, we will gladly take those and make sure they're displayed proudly. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ken, and all of the sports affiliate groups in Brampton who are joining us this morning for this special proclamation to support women and girls in sport. We will take a picture once all the proclamations are read. The next proclamation is National 211 Day, and I will ask Councillor Medeiros if you could do us the honors to read this proclamation for National 211 Day, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Santos. National 211 Day. Every year on February 11th, United Ways and 211s across Canada celebrate National 211 Day, a public awareness initiative for the award-winning 211 service that helps guide individuals and families through the complex network of human services by phone, online, text, chat, and email. 211 provides residents of Brampton with information referrals to the complete range of government, health, community, and social services in their communities. 211 is a free and confidential service available 24/7 in 200+ languages by phone. Service is also available online, 211central.ca, and via text, chat, and email. 211 is funded and supported by the United Way Greater Toronto. Residents of Brampton can call 211 for information, referrals to health services and mental health supports, income support and financial assistance, food banks, need programs, and grocery delivery, housing help, and emergency shelters, supporting services for seniors and persons with disabilities, and more. 211 recognizes the diverse needs of the residents of Brampton and provides specialized support for individuals, families, youth, seniors, persons with disabilities, Indigenous, Black, LGBT, Q2S+, and newcomer communities. 211 strengthens our human services system and helps residents of Brampton get the help they need when they need it, making their pathway to care guided and trusted one. The United Glow campaign will also take place this evening of February 11th with landmarks across the city illuminated in red to celebrate 211's work, including the clock tower at Brampton City Hall. Municipal proclamations are a key part of this national effort to make 211 impact visible and to remind communities where to run for support. Therefore, Mayor Patrick Brown, on behalf of Brampton City Council, do hereby proclaim February 11th, 2026 as National 211 Day in the City of Brampton.
Thank you so much, Councillor Medeiros. Is there anyone here to accept the proclamation for National 211 Day? Okay. The next proclamation is Imamat Day, February 4th, 2026, and Councillor Power will read the proclamation.
Thank you, through the chair. Today is Ismaili Muslims in Canada and around the world celebrate Imamat Day, marking the first Imamat Day or anniversary of His Highness Prince Rahim Aga Khan V, assuming his role as the 50th hereditary Imam of the global Ismaili Muslim community. For more than 40 years, the Ismaili Imam and Canada have partnered in building a more prosperous and compassionate nation, from education and housing to business and the arts, uniting by shared commitment to pluralism, services, and the dignity of every person. Imamat Day is both a movement of celebration and an opportunity to recognize enduring values of compassion, service, pluralism, and equity that continue to guide the Ismaili Muslim community. Through initiatives such as Ismaili Civic, Ismaili Muslim community demonstrates its longstanding commitment to service, volunteerism, and partnership, working to improve the quality of life of all Canadians. Therefore, Mayor Patrick Brown, on behalf of Brampton City Council, do hereby proclaim February 4th, 2026 as Imamat Day in the City of Brampton.
Thank you, Councillor Power. And is there a representative from the community here? Wonderful.
Thank you, Mayor. And on behalf of the Ismaili community in Brampton, we would like to thank the City of Brampton for this recognition of proclamation of Imamat Day for His Highness Prince Rahim Aga Khan. This is the first year that we celebrate his leadership. We in Brampton have a number of residents who have been here for decades, and we look forward to continued collaboration and support with the city of Brampton. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And we'll have a proclamation to present to you. I think we're going to do all the proclamations and photos at the end of this period. I understand there's been a proclamation added by Councillor Brar, and so we'll hand the microphone to you.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Saka Nakoder Day. On February 4th, we observe Saka Nakoder Day, which commemorates the killing of 4 young Sikh men on Nakoder, Punjab, India. On this day in 1986, Indian security forces opened live fire without warning and without legally required authorization of a magistrate on unarmed individuals who were peacefully protesting the sacrilege of Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. This day also marks the 40-year pursuit of justice by the impacted families. Baldev Singh, father of one of the young men, identified the bodies of his son, Ravinder Singh, and the 3 other men at Nakoder Civic Hospital. However, before last rites could be performed, the bodies of all 4 men were cremated. In response, Baldev Singh began a peaceful protest outside Nakoder police station demanding a time-bound judicial inquiry. Baldev Singh's fight for justice continues to this day. For 4 decades, Baldev Singh has led a sustained global campaign seeking justice and accountability for his teenage son and the other men. While institutions in Punjab fail to act, the international community should demonstrate moral leadership. Today, the significance of Saka Nakoder has been recognized in cities across Canada as well as internationally. On this day, we remember and honor the memory of victims and reaffirm that City of Brampton's commitments to justice, peace, and human rights. Therefore, I, Mayor Patrick Brown, on behalf of Brampton City Council, do hereby proclaim February 4th, 2026 as Saka Nakoder Day in the City of Brampton. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brar, and I believe there's a representative from the organization here today. Or no? Okay. So then our next item, in the same vein as the proclamations, I believe we have an announcement that Councillor Santos will speak to, and then we can do all the photos. No? Okay, Councillor Brar, okay.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. First, I would like to present and congratulate the Brampton Warriors youth players who have played at the provincial level team for the Gurdas Gill, Jagraj Gill, Jasraj Naru, Dharav Bajwa, Niraj Chaudhary, Jagjot Thind, Rupinder Sidhu, Eka Manan, Hargan Manan, and Abigail Jordan. We also have Sahaj Manan, who is currently selected at the national level under the U16 Poland Tour, and Kirit Gill, who has played at the North American Wide Tournament as well as the provincial level. This is a big accomplishment. I'm so proud of everyone who is here today. As we look at our seats today, they're filled with our youth who have accomplished so much at the City of Brampton. And I'm also so proud to present and congratulate Parmdeep Gill, who has played at the national Canadian level women's national field hockey squad, earning her first senior cap in South Africa this past January in 2026. She has also earned the OUA Goalkeeper of the Year, OUA All-Star, and the U.S. Sports All-Canadian designation through her journey at University of Toronto Varsity Blues alumni. She also coaches the youth goalkeepers at Brampton Warriors, and she started her journey with the Brampton Warriors. And I just also want to congratulate Danielle Da Silva, who has played at the provincial level for 5 years. She's won the Tournament 11 award in the provincial level 4 times in 2018, 2022, 2023, and 2025. She is also the captain for the provincial team in 2022, 2023, and 2025. She also coaches the girls and the youth at Brampton Warriors. She has started her hockey journey with the Brampton Warriors. Thank you to the whole Brampton Warriors team and the management for helping to grow field hockey in Brampton. And, you know, when I look around this room and I'm reading a list of all the accomplishments, there's a big, long list, and I haven't even read all of it, but I really want to highlight some of the amazing work, amazing teamwork that has been done at this level. And it's the players, it's the families, it's the coaches, it's the team that works together to make sure we can all pull through. So again, thank you, Councillor Santos, for reading out that proclamation. I know very passionate sports, but it goes so well with the theme today. Coincidentally, they are here today with a lot of women in sports who are here to talk about what they have accomplished. And I would like to bring up Baramdeep Gill to the podium to talk a little bit about the Brampton Warriors. Thank you.
Honorable Mayor, council members, and fellow citizens of Brampton, I'm thrilled to stand before you today to recognize the outstanding achievements of the Brampton Warriors Sports and Culture Club youth field hockey team. These young athletes have brought pride to our city by representing Brampton at the 2025 Provincial Nationals Field Hockey Tournament. Their dedication, teamwork, and passion for sports are a testament to the excellence that can be found in our city's youth. The Brampton Warriors have demonstrated remarkable skills, sportsmanship, perseverance, making our communities proud. As a club, the Brampton Warriors Sports and Cultural Club provides a nurturing environment for young athletes to develop their skills, build confidence, and foster lifelong friendships. We are grateful for the tireless efforts of coaches, trainers, families who support these young athletes every step of the way. I would like to extend my sincerest congratulations to each and every one of the athletes who participated in the tournament. Your hard work and commitment to excellence are an inspiration to us all. And Mayor Brown and council members, I ask you that you join me in recognizing the achievements of these talented young athletes and their coaches. Let us celebrate their success and continue to support the development of sports and culture in our city. Thank you and congratulations again to the Brampton Warriors.
Okay, Councillor Santos, now I believe you have something you want to suggest. No? Okay.
Just photos now.
Just photos.
Yeah.
Okay.
Councillor Brown.
Councillor Brown, okay.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. We do have certificates for our Brampton Warriors and all the accomplishments they have made. So I would request if we can have a picture with our Brampton Warriors whenever the time persists. Thank you.
So we'll do the photos now. What? How about Sylvia Roberts, number 7? Okay, if we could ask Sylvia Roberts to come forward to the podium. I believe we have a delegation from Sylvia. And Sylvia, you want to take 30 seconds just to let everyone leave the room? We don't want there to be noise for your wisdom.
It's an old school map. It's right.
Councillor Power can take a seat.
Councillor Power, paging Councillor Power.
Where's Chief of Staff?
Okay, the floor is yours. You have 5 minutes.
All right, hello, my name is Sylvia Roberts. I'm a resident of Ward 3. I am happy to see this comprehensive zoning bylaw finally come forward. I think originally we were planning to rework within 5 years the 2006 official plan, so it has been several years since this has been ongoing. I've seen documents saying it's in progress since at least 2012, which was before my time at the city. I've read many different planning documents, and there has been a structural issue in some of them, and that is that there does not seem to be understanding of transit. And so I've asked myself, why does it seem spread across many different reports by many different people who I've seen their work, and they're hardworking and they're competent, and why don't they understand transit? And it turns out the answer is because planning schools traditionally not covered transit. Now in some cases they have a 3-credit-hour class, and that just isn't enough. So in this document, for example, there's 3 tiers of parking. One is in our major transit station areas where there's no car parking required for residents. Then there's a second tier for where there's transit, and then there's a third tier for where there isn't transit. The issue is in the second tier, there is no meaningful differentiation between types of transit or qualities of transit. So for example, at Mayfield and McLaughlin, there is a bus that runs in a one-way loop, and it runs every 36 minutes in rush hour. It does not run in the middle of the day. It does not run in the evenings. It does not run in the weekends. And there is a property there that is considered to have transit, so it qualifies for a reduction in parking. And as someone who's advocated for parking, this is a case of like, no, that does not actually make sense. There's technically a bus there, but there are different kinds of buses, and there's different kinds of routes, just like there's different kinds of roads. If someone said, hey, I want to build a site, and it's going to have a trip generation of 1,000 people in peak hours, and it's on a 20-foot wide gravel road, the planning department like, what are you on? Wow, this doesn't make any sense, because a 20-foot wide gravel road most definitely cannot handle 1,000 vehicles in an hour. There's huge variations in bus routes on most types of infrastructure, whether you're talking housing or roads. You build the building, and most of the cost is in the construction of it, and it's just there. So you build the road for the peak hour, so you cover those 4 really busy hours, and then it's mostly empty the rest of the day. Transit, especially bus transit, is substantially different. The vast majority of the cost is in the hours. It is in time, how long you're operating it. You don't just build the bus shelter, and it magically has transit 24 hours a day. It requires a lot of time. So this isn't something that staff can be faulted generally for something that not only has not been required in planning school, but in many cases has not even been offered as a potential option. I know people are in planning school today, and they're like, can we get more information on learning about how to do transit as urban planners? And they're like, whatever, not a big deal from the departments. So we have approved a massive transportation master plan that includes that plans for a $750 million a year transit budget and $11.9 billion. And the trying to get there is actually very difficult. And in this report, for example, decisions made on parking can massively affect costs. It is important that there's actual continuing education for staff for something they did not have an opportunity to get from planning school. So if you scroll down, there is this book called Human Transit by Jarrett Walker. He is a professional transit planner, and he has redesigned transit networks for cities ranging from 50,000 people to Dublin in Ireland to Houston. And he can explain it to city councilors for whom being a councilor is a job they get paid $2,000, and they do that as a part-time job. He can explain it to staff, and 1% of 1% of that planned operating budget is $75,000. I'm pretty sure for spending a day to explain it to staff and explain stuff to council would be much less than that. We need continuing education for staff so we can plan better stuff that does not cost the city tens or hundreds of millions of dollars down the road. Thank you. That's my delegation.
Thank you. I see no questions. Thank you for your delegation. Our next item is, there's no government relations held today, so it takes us to the clerk. Okay. Okay, Councillor Pelletier.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So I don't think I was the one that referred it from the last meeting. I think it was somebody else, and it was Councillor Keenan. And so I don't know if he's on the board, wants to speak to it. As of right now, going through the report, I really want to get to a point where I can, support, I think, the majority of it, like the fire alarm panel, the interment, the cemetery services and stuff. But there is stuff in there that council lowered the dollar amounts, and this is essentially going against what council had done already to lower some of the amounts in there for contractual. I don't know what their the limits on some of the items, and I'm not sure which ones they are. They vary. So I'm not there yet. I would like for this to be kicked down the road a little bit longer, and therefore is the reason why I'm speaking to a referral. So that's kind of what I'd like to see. I don't know if I was dragging it out to see if Councillor Keenan wanted to jump on. I don't see him on, but I think if we can support just referring this to next committee of council, I think unless our Nash wants to speak to it.
Just to clarify, you're talking about the administrative authority bylaw for temporary borrowing.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, sorry.
I don't know what's. Oh, sorry, I didn't see what's on there. I didn't hold that. We're on your item. Yeah, we're on. Okay. Good.
Please, the clerk.
Through Mayor Brown, is there further information that staff can bring back to that committee of council meeting that you're looking for in particular?
In looking at the appendices, if there could be kind of so I have to go back and see what is currently allowed, and I don't think that maybe if we can work on that appendices to have more clarity.
Through Mayor Brown, would it help if that appendices, if everything other than the financial limits were removed, and you could see this is currently what it is, and this is the proposed?
Sure.
With just those items?
Yep.
In a mini version of it?
That would be great.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Moved by Councillor Pelletier, second by Councillor Santos for the referral. All those in favor? Motion carries. This takes us to our next item, which is the 2026 municipal election question on the ballot. And I believe Councillor Pelletier would like to speak to this.
I held the item. Does anybody want any kind of presentation, or just the way I'm thinking about it now is we don't get the percentage of people to come out and vote. So is this a waste, knowing that we're not going to get that percentage out? We've always tried every election. We're trying to get more people to come out and vote, and maybe instead of putting this on on the ballot. Like there's nobody better that has the data of people that actually want the voice of essentially what they want us to do than us. We have it all in our emails, and so why don't we put together some kind of campaign for members of council to you have everybody that's ever complained about snow since you've been a councillor at your fingertips. Why don't we put together some kind of campaign? We help IT. IT can help us, put something together where we can, reach out to those people. And I know it's not a question on the ballot, but it's trying to get the information to people just through a question is extremely difficult. I think that this is a really hard task. I'm still fairly neutral. I just think that there's probably a better way of doing this, and I think us having some kind of strategic campaign to reach out, I think is the best opportunity. But there's a list of speakers, so I'll sit and listen. Thank you, Mr.
And maybe I just say, because I think Councillor Pleshy has raised a valid point, municipal turnout is never over 50%. And so you're accurate, that threshold would not be reached. Having said that, if I'm in this position a year from now, and I think, most councillors would probably feel the same way, if there was a clear indication from the city that this was the preference, they wanted windrow cleaning, I would honor that request in the budget making process, even if it was a 30% turnout, because I think the will of the people would have been articulated. Having said that, we have done a lot of consultation on this. We've done the teletown halls, got data, we have done the online polls, but I think because it's so split, the wish was just to make a definitive choice, one time and move on. I have expressed my concerns as well about, I've heard from a manager in another city, a CEO in another city who told me it was a nightmare with the over 1,000 complaints of damaged lawns. And then, there's misinformation out there. People say Toronto has it. Only 10% of Toronto actually has windrow cleaning. I just read an article in the Mississauga News yesterday that said people were upset that it's not being cleared until a day later, so they still have to do it themselves because they need to get out to work. And so this is not as simple and straightforward as people feel, but I do feel that people want to be able to weigh in on it. So I'm not against this request from Councillor Toor, but I just wanted to add that for the conversation, that whatever the result is, even if it's a 30% turnout, if I'm budget chair, I would honor that, whatever the decision is. We got a number of speakers. We got Councillor Fertini.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I was going to say the same thing on the turnout. It's not very unfair for 30% to make a decision. We had many polls on this, and it was kind of split. And I do agree with you, and I've always said it, you're not going to keep the people happy. People are going to come and say, well, my snow's done the next day or 5 hours or 10 hours later. Why is the other street done? My other thing is it's very unfair if we add this to people that pay condo fees in a condo or a townhouse complex. They're already paying the condo fees to get the snow clean and the windrows out of the parking lot. So they're actually going to be stuck paying. I know a lot of people have been saying Mississauga only pays $28 and we're paying close to $100. Why? But I know our coffee chat, the mayor did clarify, I think it was in the paper, it was only for November, December, so it wasn't the full amount. You're not going to keep the people happy. You don't know when it's going to snow. And we got to look at the damages. There's going to be a lot of damage after when curbs are being broken and grass and everything. We already don't have enough problems now. I come along Bramley Road and Torbram, bus shelter's broken. Garbage is upside down because trying to clean the snow in the bus shelters. That's all going to be a cost to us. So I think we should do another survey next term and see how it stands. Maybe it might go up to 51%. And it's very unfair also people that don't come to vote. They're not citizen, but they still own a home and pay property tax. So I'll leave it to council, yes. That's my opinion.
Councillor Santos.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Just to piggyback off Councillor Fertini and Councillor Pleshy's points, there are property taxpayers in Brampton who are not citizens, permanent residents, pay property taxes, who will not be able to vote on this ballot question should it show up on the ballot. There are, if folks read the report, there are additional budget amendments that need to happen in order to accommodate this. There's legislation that actually says your question must be a yes or no clear question. And on this particular matter, based on reading the report, there are so many complications to this, including the fact, on top of the 3.6% possible property tax increase across the board, a good number of households in Brampton, in Mount Pleasant, in the areas that I represent in downtown Brampton, where the streets are too narrow or there are too many crescents or too many courts, those residents are going to feel that 3.6% property tax increase but never get the service. And you can't explain that on a yes or no question on a ballot. On top of that, there are other jurisdictions, whether that's Mississauga or Vaughan or Toronto, who are implementing the service and are getting tons of complaints related to damaged lawns, damaged curbs, damaged driveways, all of which, again, it's likely, I would imagine, that their municipality are going to have to pay for those damages. And so I don't think this is a type of yes and no question that can be easily voted on, given the fact that a good number of folks in Brampton either can't receive the service, will pay it an increase, or can't even vote on the ballot. So I agree, Councillor Fortini, Councillor Paleski, who brought up those concerns. And I know that I had another question with respect to the report, but I'm just going off the top of my head. If that question comes up, I'll ask staff that question as well, but that's all my comment for now.
Councillor Tour.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Brown. I know I brought this matter forward. I don't want to get too much into the debate about, windrow removal as a service or not. We've debated that multiple times, and it's not an easy debate one way or the other. But just like, I know a few comments, about property taxpayers, like everybody paying the property tax, not receiving the services. But just looking at the numbers that I have from staff, 160,000 homes, 155,000 of those homes will be able to get the service. So it's only 5,000 homes that may not benefit from the service. However, just sticking to the question on the ballot report here, thank you to staff for putting the work together on this. I know the suggestion was made that, this be taken to the ballot. It is I would say the most democratic way to get an answer on this. Every time we have done city surveys, whether it was teletown halls, the online surveys, the split has been so small, it's almost a 50-50 split. In some cases, at most, it was a 60-40 split on people, whether they want the service or don't want the service. And because of that, we haven't had the confidence to make a decision one way or the other. I know in wards 9 and 10, this request keeps coming up again and again, multiple times, and I feel like we just need to do our due diligence on this. One of the alternate solutions that is provided in this report is to do a survey on the same day of the election, like an election day survey. So that way, it's not a referendum question on the ballot. You proceed with your ballot process the way it is. You vote for your mayor and your councillors and your trustees if they exist. And then you go on to do a survey which is done separately. That is just on this. I think that would still be very democratic for the residents that show up and choose the next term of mayor and council. They're the ones that are participating in this process, participating in choosing their decision makers at the table. And then, at least the next term of council will have the will of the people, a more definitive one, regardless of, what the voter turnout is, on all the voters that showed up the day of the election, on what their choice was, whether they would like to see this as a survey, as a service in the city or not. And because it won't be a ballot question, I think it would be a good opportunity to for that that process to provide more information to residents on what this could cost, what this means for your property tax, what the service could look like, whether there's time limits around the service, the quality of the service. At least that way residents can make an informed decision and participate in the survey. And then, like I said, next term of council will at least have a very concrete number of residents that have come out and participated in this process. And just looking at the number of participants in the town hall surveys that we did, teletown hall surveys, and the online surveys, it was never a big pool of people or like all the residents that participated in this. So, if council would be agreeable to it, I think, not putting it as a ballot question, but doing it as a survey. And I guess, we can get a report back on what that survey would look like, what that survey process would look like, whether it's on election day, whether it is before the election, after the election. Is there any other way that we can do a survey similar to what Councillor Kalashi suggested, that, we have residents that have reached out about snow complaints or any complaints in the past? We have a lot of information from residents that we can reach out to as well and say, hey, the city is doing a citywide survey on this. We would like you to participate. But I think for me personally, I think ideally, a survey that happens on election day would be the best form of survey possible. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Vasante.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and appreciating everyone's comments. Don't disagree really with anyone. I would think that it would be useful for us just to ask the clerk a question. Madam Clerk, if you could just give us some insight on how a survey might be conducted, perhaps a combination where it's a survey throughout the next 10 months or so, also with a survey being conducted at polls, as you have suggested.
Yes.
Through Mayor Brown. Thank you for that question, Councillor Vasante. There are a number of ways we can follow up with gathering survey information. I know there have been several surveys in the past, but any options, we would bring back a report regarding costs and details of how we would roll that out. But there could be a citywide survey online. It could be ward-specific results reported back to provide that information, similar to the ballots would provide. It could be extended to include voting locations and have a survey available there for voters, but not limited only to voters. Available at the municipal office, at our municipal facilities. We can have it online. We can have a paper version. I think there needs to be some thought put into a comprehensive process so that we get as many responses as possible to provide that information for council.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And through you, Mr. Mayor, in your report, you talk about the challenge of time with respect to the little time that we have to proceed with a ballot question. But with respect, if we went with a survey as an option, are you as restrained time-wise in order to organize that and have it rolled out?
Through you, Mayor Brown. Thanks for that question, Councillor. The timeline is quite tight to get a question on the ballot. It is possible. We would need clear direction today. We would need to hold a public meeting, and we would need to bring back a bylaw on February 25th to meet our legislative timelines. If it is a survey process and not tied to the Municipal Election Act, it does change those timelines completely. Those are the timelines set out in the Municipal Election Act, so they wouldn't apply to a survey process.
Thank you very much. So I think that in order to better inform next term of council, next budget process, Mr. Mayor, perhaps I'd move that instead of a ballot question, we would have a citywide survey that may potentially include online at rec centers, but also, if it's possible, through you, Mr. Mayor, that survey also be presented at polling stations as an option that folks could, if they have time after they voted, to fill out a survey.
I believe the Deputy Mayor is the next speaker.
Thank you, and I look forward to this report coming back. I think this sort of captures the concerns of council and is a good path forward to get everybody on board. There's always challenges in surveys, whether online, whether in person. And I think with election period coming, this gives an opportunity to cover all aspects of sort of issues in surveys where you can have in person, where you could have online rec centers, and just do a comprehensive survey. And there's nobody wiser than a resident. So ultimately, we can explain to them, that's our job as a city, as elected officials, but ultimately it is their decision. So I'm more than happy to support this path forward. I think everybody who spoke used the word survey, so it's nice to see consensus on this, and let's get the report back, and then we can iron out any issues or concerns, additional concerns that anybody has, and move forward accordingly. I do want to give a shout out to the Public Works and the clerk's office in particular for the turnaround of this report. I know it was extremely tight timeline, and to put a report back together like this, I think was very helpful. So just wanted to acknowledge the work that was done on this to get it here. So thank you to staff.
I see there's still a lot of speakers on the board. I've got Councillor Fertini, Santos, Plushie, Medeiros.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just forgot, like, most of the times when I hear about this, the windrows, you know, I feel mostly for the seniors or disability. In 2015, myself and Councillor Miles, we raised it from 200 to 300. Maybe we could raise it a little bit more to help out these seniors on the grant. But, you know, to remove windrows, just because we had one storm, or last year we had two, but 7 years prior to that, we hardly had any snow, and people are gonna be paying property tax extra. So maybe we should just help out the seniors and raise it an extra $100, or for people with disability. I think that would be a good cause.
Councillor Santos.
Thanks so much to you, Mr. Mayor. So I think a report back on possible survey and comprehensive survey options, going back out there again for another survey on this topic might be more reasonable than putting it on the ballot. I do, if the report comes back, I would ask that we also include, and perhaps someone from the clerk's office can also share, the complications of having a survey done during voting time at polls, particularly as it relates to language barriers, language issues, chaos that might happen because people are confused what to vote for, what's a survey, what's a poll, like what's an actual voting ballot. If you don't mind just sharing some of those complications, that would be great. And also, if we're no longer talking about putting it on the ballot, I remembered my question, which was, are we allowed to, on a ballot question, even put the cost on the ballot itself?
Through the chair, thank you, Councillor Santos, for the questions. I'll answer your last question first. In all of our municipal benchmarking that we've conducted on questions on the ballot, we have not seen the cost. It's a very simple, clear, and concise question, and that's straight out of the Municipal Elections Act, in that the question must be clear, concise, and neutral. So the cost is usually not included from what we've seen.
Thank you. And so you can't put the cost, you can't explain, I guess, on the ballot question that not all residents are going to get it. Is that correct? It's just like a simple yes or no.
So it needs to be a clear and concise question. I think legal services would have to review the question to ensure that it meets that test.
Okay. And then if you could talk about some of, like I've seen on advanced voting days, election days, the polling stations, because Brampton is so fantastic with different, 171 different languages in our city, what would some of the challenges be in doing a survey or even a ballot question related to this new item that, quite frankly, we can't explain the context on a ballot or even, you know, on a survey?
So when we were discussing with the clerk this option of having a survey kind of post the voting experience, some of the concerns that we raised as a team is that we are here to administer an election for the ballot for the offices. We need to ensure that the voting process is efficient for all electors. We need to move electors in and out of the voting location in an efficient manner. So any survey or a poll question that happens after the voting experience, we would probably recommend that it happens outside of the voting room. We wouldn't be able to facilitate a survey within the voting room. Our election staff would not be able to do that. Their job is to ensure the integrity of the election for the entire voting period. We also have an added implication that most of our voting locations are in schools. So we need to consider the safety of the students, particularly if we are not successful in obtaining a PA day, which we have requested, but we haven't heard back about. Additional people in the school would probably not be acceptable by the principals. So we did talk about perhaps our busier recreation facilities. You know, those are public facilities. People are there throughout the day. That could be an option for city staff to conduct a survey, maybe outside of a voting room, but it shouldn't interfere with the voting process. And if the clerk would like to add to that, there may be some other thoughts there.
Thank you, Mayor Brown. At the voting locations, as Jonica mentioned, there's traffic flow is a big concern, so we do want to keep it moving. Some of the locations would facilitate a spot for a survey afterwards much better than others. One option might be to have a pamphlet or information that people could pick up and take with them from every voting location. So every voter has access to the full story about this. I did want to mention as well, even though we can't expand on the question on the ballot has to be concise, the notice that we need to send out is required to include all the important information. What is a windrow? How much might this cost, the proposed costs, and how it will impact people who may get service or who may not. So that wouldn't be on the ballot with them in the voter's booth, but that notice would include all of the information, and there would have to be a comprehensive information campaign around either one.
Thank you. And just for clarification, because Councillor Pellicci took his name off the board. So in the report, it does talk about households that may receive or may not receive the service. Can we just get clarification in terms of what that number may be? And if not, if we don't have it today, can we make sure that's included in the report itself? If that number is not there for clarification, because I think it's very important for residents to know that even if they're paying a property tax increase for the service, there are a significant amount of households that will not receive the service. Peter, can you, if you can't, then just, if we can get it back in the report.
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Santos, to your point, there will be a number of residential properties, primarily condominiums, rear laneways, any residential properties and driveways on private roads that won't receive the service, and we'll identify that in a little bit more detail in the upcoming report.
Thank you very much. And then the final thing I wanted to point out, so it sounds like it will be very well, when the report comes back, please include the complications of having to, and the impact on the actual election, running the election and the voting for the election itself versus a survey in the same location. But also, I would suggest that if we're going to do a survey, I'm all for doing a survey, but I do think that we need to take a look at what is happening right now in Mississauga, Toronto, and Vaughan and their experience and the damages that the city has to pay because of the service damaging private property. I think if we could do a bit of an initial jurisdictional scan in that report as well, that would be great. Thank you.
Councillor Medeiros.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to, and I apologize up front, I guess, to my colleagues who raised this idea. I want to go back to what Councillor Pellicci said, which I think is the most salient point. You should know what your residents want by now. You should have an idea of what their feedback is. So I'm not sure what this ballot question would do. Is if the idea is a ballot question to give us the opportunity to come back to council and move a motion to suggest that, look, overwhelming Brampton wants this, and then we vote, I would just suggest to bypass all these antics, put something on the floor. I don't know why we're going through all this process, trying to do a ballot to justify we're looking at it or so on. You know, I would invite my colleague, if they want a windrow service and they want to vote on it, I'm prepared, you know, and if I didn't have a position on this after 3 terms, then shame on me. I would tell people, you know, don't vote for me anymore. I have a position on this. I'm ready to vote on it. So I'm not sure really what the raison d'etre of this whole process, if councillors need a ballot to tell them what they should take a position on to justify an action and say, here's a motion, do the windrow. And I would say the second thing is that, you know, we do have a process which there's a budget. We haven't voted on it. It's Friday. It is the mayor's budget. And if a councillor feels that this should be something included in the budget, then do that. I just don't understand, unless I'm missing something, you know, because if I was to say, if we're going to use a survey, and it's always great to go out and get feedback from the public, then I would want to hear what are your top 3 priorities. I wouldn't limit it to snow, because in a couple of weeks, and I'm actually adding it to committee, I'll be getting questions about leaf blowing services as the climate moves by, right? So I just think that all this work that we're doing, reports and all this stuff, if it's just to show to the public, listen, we've engaged on this issue, or councillors are still, I would say, have a respective town hall in your own wards and get your feedback and determine your position then. I don't need, me personally, I don't need a ballot question. You have your campaigns this year, and if you want to put it on your literature and that's your position, go for it. So I just think to spend time and have staff to go prepare a report to tell me what? Oh, here's the cost, here's the thing. Everyone has an opportunity to speak to staff, get their lowdown on what's going to impact their wards, and come back and throw something on the floor if you want. Anyways, thank you.
Here, here, Mark.
Just remember at council, you can speak 2 times, and so if your folks are on the board again, oh, everyone's off the board, okay. We've had a fruitful conversation, we got a motion on the floor. Just wanted to say in closing, I understand why Councillor Tour put this forward. There is a lot of feedback in wards 9 and 10 about windrows. I see that in the community WhatsApp groups, and so I think he is reflecting that frustration. I see it more so in the East End than probably anywhere else. The one point we have not added in this conversation is we have a problem in Brampton with cars parked on the roads, and I have heard that windrow cleaning would be harder than anywhere else in Brampton due to the fact we have so many cars parked on streets. And just imagine if cars are damaged or snow removal vehicles are damaged. We already have that, with snow removal vehicles and cars on the street. Just imagine if they're trying to get even closer to the driveway. But this is an annual debate we have in Brampton. I think we've got a good motion here. And do we have a mover and a seconder? Because it started out as Councillor Tour, but now it's been amended in a manner I'm not sure if he still wishes to move it. Councillor Tour?
Oh yeah, just unmuting myself. I think Councillor Vicente was putting this motion forward. If he can move it all, I'm happy to second it, no problem.
Okay. I was the one who moved it. Okay, moved by Councillor Vicente, seconded by Councillor Tour.
Can I?
And Councillor Plushy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I think, looking down at Councillor Medeiros, we've been in it. We've done it for so long. But we also have to think, where would we be? If this was our first term, what would we be thinking? And I think I honestly would probably be in the same situation as Councillor Tour right now, where he wants to make a decision, but he doesn't have the 3 terms that we have, right? It's his first term. So, and that's not being disrespectful. I hope that nobody's taking it that way. Is if I was in this situation now, I would probably be I'd want to do the same thing. I want to get it out to the public. I do want to make the decision. And I think that this is a logical kind of next step to say, what else can we do? But as of right now, I think we're all kind of saying it's not going to be on the ballot. I think we're safe to say we're fine making a decision. We can make a decision here today. It's not going to be on the ballot, but we do want more information. We do want to be able to hopefully capitalize on the number of people that are going to the polls this fall. So I fully support doing that, and that's all I had to say. Thank you. Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we have the motion on the floor. All those in favor? Motion carries. This takes us to our next item. To the clerk. Okay. Councillor Plushy, did you want to speak to this one?
Thank you. Thank you very much to staff for all their hard work on the zoning bylaw. I think this is certainly a good compromise, you know, especially throughout the city, when we have so many individuals that, you know, build homes and, you know, the perception is building homes and then moving on to, you know, either the next community or the next build. And this is what, you know, we certainly have heard from the residents when it comes to the lack of green space that people have behind their house and in front of their house. You know, we are certainly getting tired of people complaining that they take a step out of their front door onto the sidewalk, and then they take a step from the sidewalk onto the road. So really want to thank the work that went into this. David Vandenberg's here somewhere, team, everybody, Steve. I think a party is probably, I always love a party, so if you want to have a party after this. That being said, when we look at, you know, across the city and specifically Heritage Heights, I think there's opportunities where, you know, something to the effect of when you look at Mount Pleasant and the community that was built there with the reduced setbacks, it works in the community that is it's walkable to a train. It's walkable to a transit center. It's walkable to a grocery store. It's walkable to a school. So the walkable livability of the community, I think, comes into play, and it can't be one right across the city. So when they're essentially coming in for draft plan, I think, and I would like to task staff to develop a criteria that if you meet, you know, set out criteria like walkability and so on, you're the experts, not me. But if you do meet that the criteria and check all the boxes, maybe there is opportunity for, you know, a smaller rear setback or a smaller front setback. That being said, it's not a development that comes forward and say, we want to reduce our setback in this entire 600 homes because we can walk to a grocery store. Like, that's not what it's about. It's they have to develop a community that has that walkability score. And I think I'd like to task staff to start working on something to the effect, and work with the landowners, work with the residents. We have a lot of data based off of our 2040 vision and everything that we've done up to now to develop something. So I'd like to ask staff to do that. I'm happy to move receipt of remove the comprehensive zoning bylaw, but I'd also like to move a motion tasking staff to develop a criteria that applicants can come forward with draft plan, so it doesn't put any added time on any applications, to see what we can do and how we can help and support. Did we catch all that? We good?
Yep.
Thumbs up. Thank you.
With a motion on the floor, moved by Councillor Pelletier. Do you have a comment to our planning commissioner?
Through you, Mayor Brown, through to Councillor Pelletier. First of all, yes, I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to all the staff across all of the departments, everyone from legal right down through to zoning, frontline staff. As Sylvia indicated, the years of consultation have paid off. The zoning bylaw that you have before you was designed to be more user-friendly, help cut red tape, and expedite development. But more importantly, we also took the time to listen to council. And in this term of council, one of the things that rang true is context-sensitive design principles. So certainly we'll take the direction to develop some sort of criteria that we can apply not only to draft plans and subdivisions, but to all development applications, and use that criteria prior to bringing recommendation reports forward to council.
Councilor Medeiros.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And on that token, thank you, all the staff, and I agree with it. And thank you to the chair and vice chair for all the work they've done around this area. And I just want to recognize, I was really pleased, Councillor Keenan and myself, and I'm sure the other wards 1 and 5 councillors, when you talk about the mature neighborhoods and driveway standards, I think it allows our staff to do their job, our bylaw to do a better job, and it sort of recognizes some of the specificities of the area. So I want to thank everyone involved in the fact that it's flexible, and it's great to see, like you said, more user-friendly, easier for me to understand. So I want to thank everyone involved, and thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Medeiros. With motion moved by Councilor Palashi, seconded by Councilor Medeiros. All those in favor? Motion carries. This takes us to our next item. Oh, yes, and I can speak to this one if Councillor Keenan isn't online. So this is the first Black police officer in Peel Region, and it's been suggested that we look at a naming opportunity for a street in Brampton. Councillor Keenan suggested he would like to do it during Black History Month, which is now. Lonsdale Blackett, it goes by Lonnie. It's something I'm told from the Chief of Police and the PRPA that they would be supportive of, as someone who dedicated his life to public safety and is a longtime Bramptonian. I had a chance to speak with Lonnie along with Councillor Palashi and Councillor Keenan, and I think this would be a fitting naming, and thank you for Councillor Keenan for the suggestion. If he is not on, well, I see him, he's online, so I'm going to say if Councillor Keenan could move this, and I'm happy to second.
Thank you, Mayor Brown. Happy to move it. Great individual, really deserving of this. So definitely happy to move it. Thank you.
And I'm looking to Marlon, because I know there's a process here we have to check with first responders to make sure there's not a conflict with the name. But it would be great if we could make this presentation in the month of February. And so I'm not sure. I'm sure the Peel Police would not object to an expedited response back. And so I will leave that with you to see if we can do it in a manner that it could be completed sooner than later.
Thank you, Mayor Brown. I'll take that back.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor? Motion carries. Okay. Public question period. Any questions for those in attendance? I don't see any. There's no submitted online. That takes us to bylaws. I have a motion moved by Councillor Vasante, second by Councillor Brar, to approve bylaws 13-2026 to 25-2026 inclusive. All those in favor? Motion carries. And do we have any closed session business that was held?
We have all three items.
All three held. Okay, so we'll go into closed session. I have a motion moved by Councillor Santos, seconded by Councillor Power, to go into closed session. All those in favor? Motion carries. To the clerk, 10 minutes, 15 minutes? 10 minutes. So at 11:06, we'll return in camera. discussed in camera is reported out in public session. The clerk will report out.
Through Mayor Brown, the following items were considered in closed session. 19.1 was considered, direction and was given to staff. 19.2 was considered and direction was given. And 19.3 was also considered and direction was given.
Okay. I have a motion for the confirming bylaw moved by Councilor Madero, seconded by Councilor Paleshi, to approve the confirming bylaw to confirm the proceedings and decisions from this meeting. All those in favor? Motion carries. This takes us to adjournment. Our next council meeting is February 25th at 9:30 a.m. I have a motion moved by Councilor Brar, seconded by Councilor Santos, to adjourn today's meeting. All those in favor? Motion carries.